Today's puzzle, and today we are looking at this position where we are down three full pawns in the starting position. However, White's king is looking a little bit uncomfortable on f1. Our bishop is cutting off the two escape squares on g2 and e2, and we also of course have two rooks pointing towards f2. So the question is, where do we begin? And as so often, I would suggest always looking at checks first, and there is a very tempting check here in the starting position. Rook b1 would be checkmate if it wasn't for White to be able to block the check with rook e1. And here we have this move bishop g2, where the king cannot stay connected to the rook. But after king takes, yes, we have won an exchange, but remember, White still has three pawns for the exchange. This position, the computer evaluates it as roughly even. So not what we are looking for, since we are looking for a win, of course. Now we should think, is there another way to exploit the king's position? And remember, I had talked about f2 being a big focal point in this position, and the way to exploit the king's position is with the beautiful bishop sacrifice, bishop g2. Now, if the king doesn't take on g2, if the king steps either to g1 or to e1, let's say, we will simply take a full rook, and here it is a different story. We have not won an exchange, but a full rook. Yes, White can still take our pawn on g6, but the problems on f2 remain. To give you an idea, the computer gives +6 here for black, so a completely winning position. So from that we gather that after bishop g2, White doesn't really have a choice but to take the bishop. And here is the last moment where we have to be careful. How do we capture on f2? One of the two rook captures leads to checkmate, the other being rook f takes f2 leads to a loss. Of course, White cannot step into the corner because that would be checkmate, but after king g1 we don't actually have anything. The best we can try probably is to go to c2. I mean, e2 and d2 are not available to the rook. So now, yes, we are threatening a checkmate on b1, but White is simply going to defend the first rank, and if we give a check, not go to f1, of course, which would run into checkmate. But after king h1, suddenly the rook on e1 holds the back rank, and the rook on h3 holds h2, and this position is winning for White, who has an extra knight as well as some extra pawns. So the correct way to capture on f2 was with this rook, which is going to lead to a forced checkmate. No matter where the king goes, rook f2 will be checkmate. So very well done